They've been promoted up there now, fourth on the grid. Watch for Markus Winkelhock as well, as this time, do we get the race underway? Yes, over the line they go. The green lights come on, the clock ticks down, and what a sight as 34 GT cars thunder into the first turn here at the Sachsenring. Polstead has got the best start. The two Mercedes are going to be 2-3 abreast almost here, and it's going to be sneaking through up into second place. The Audi, I think that's Van der Linde, who's not through. There's a huge accident just behind. Several cars involved. The number 12 machine, the Audi of Dries van Tor, is one of them. As the dust settles, that's just about to get going again in the background. The Ferrari is another of them as well. That gets going, but both a long way down the order. And there were several others involved in that as well. We'll pick them out as they come through. And oh no, drama, 47, Max Scott's back end of the car destroyed. Another one goes off. What's going on? They've gone absolutely ballistic today in this race. Backwards down the track goes the number 24 Audi of Markus Winkelhock, which was on the third row of the grid and just narrowly avoids being hit by the cars that come through. Another one off. Absolutely essential the safety car is being brought out here. No surprises. Number 4 is the latest, and that's Max Hacklander in the Audi that's gone off the road. But the big drama is that, again, the championship leader's having a nightmare. Max Kurtz with a huge hole punched in the right rear corner of the car, and the race is being red flagged. Race stop. And it's no surprise because there is carnage all the way around the circuit. It might be easy to talk about the cars that are left in the race rather than the cars that have had a moment or two. The front runners come back. There's all sorts of debris on the start line here as well from the start. So that's another issue, debris on the circuit. There's a lot of it right in front of the commentary box in the middle of the grid. There's all sorts of bodywork here, so that's an issue. Max Scott hasn't managed to get back to the pits, unfortunately. 0 points. 69 Porsche, which was in the middle of the grid of Lucas Löhr. That was 20th on the grid. Has got damage as well. We'll try and pick up the pieces because as soon as we covered one incident, there were 2 or 3 other incidents happening simultaneously. But that's the big one. Start looked okay. They did go to the first corner 3 abreast. Then it all kicked off behind. And he's trying to get it back as he can. Look at the vibration of the car there. He's got to try and get it back as quick as he can, but without damaging the car, the bodywork, and the underside of the car. Wow, well, look about this. And if they can get the car back in the race, it might be a minor miracle, but these teams did their best. Max is just limping it back. Unbelievable weekend. They've had such a strong season. They've had virtually no trouble. They lead the championship. And this happens. Hardly any problems all year long, and they get 2 nightmare races in 24 hours. So it's going to be a restart. For what it's worth, Backler had led the race before it got red flagged. Terrific start for Van der Linde to get straight up to second place from 5th on the grid. Max Boot held station in 3rd. Hamane had come from 9th to 4th. And up into 5th place was Maro Engel. Kevin Estre had gained places up to 6th as well, but it should be a full re-grid because we hadn't even done a lap of racing. So it's going to be a delay here while they look at the cars, fix the cars, get cars out of gravel traps, get debris off the circuit. In fact, in fairness, there's a good team of marshals just below the commentary box, and they've already got that debris that was on the track. Other drivers are inspecting their cars now, so that's the number 35 team Rosberg Lamborghini Huracan. Jimmy Eriksson, the Swedish driver, having a look at the back of the car. There was another one we saw in strife, but maybe, hopefully from their point of view, it's not a big drama and they'll be able to get going again. Certainly no frenetic, I mean, you can't work on the cars yet anyway, but teams are now coming onto the grids. There's some of the debris. That looks like the remnants of a marker board, but lots of parts of cars as well. That is Markus Winkelhock. What is going on, he says. What is happening? A pretty good, solid race to 7th place yesterday. This happened, and this happened. He did this, he did that. Giving the full details to the marshals and the recovery team there. Right, you need to go over here, is what he's now being told. But you can see the adrenaline is absolutely sky high in some of these drivers who've been involved in these incidents. And we'll try and unpick the pieces, but there was so much going on at the same time. Wherever you looked, something else was happening in the background. Max Scott's absolute disaster. But they might be able to get the car back in the running. Right, let's try and unravel what happened here. Here's the start. There's bodywork going up in the background. Keep an eye if you can on Max Scott. So we're all looking good here as they go to the first corner. There were 3 abreast. Scott's had dropped back a bit. Then we see the drama unfolding further back. And 2 cars pointing in the wrong direction. 3 or 4 cars off the road. Here's the viewpoint from the Lamborghini of Engelhardt, who is 13th on the grid. Now he goes in on the brakes, right on the tail of the 2 Audis. The 20 Mercedes of Schramm trying to go around the outside, and successfully so. There's Max Scott. So it was into turn 2, but Max had obviously got a big clout. Sandwich there going through turn 1. Max Scott, oh, you'd already picked up the puncture there. So it was on the exit to turn 1 when they were going 3 abreast. There was contact either side of him, and then it turned 2. Just as that other incident was happening, that was where the tyre really did let go. Coming into here, into the second turn. So he'd already got the puncture at this point. Then it lets go. Then he's in all sorts of strife. That causes one incident, but as that happens, then we get the other incident further back with the HB Racing Ferrari involved in that. The other car pointing in the wrong direction was the 12 Audi of Dries van Toor. Coming out, Van der Linde, terrific start at the inside. So he gets at the inside of Boek. Boek is already at the inside of Gotts. And that contact, it wasn't heavy, but it was enough to damage the bodywork. And I think the bodywork rubbing on the tyre popped the tyre. On board with Rahel Frey. She didn't get to go yesterday. Philip Geiper having dramas. Rahel trying to pick her way through. I mean, it's a traffic jam, isn't there? She has to go on the grass. There's nowhere else to go. Chooses the best option. Almost stops the car to avoid the collision. Marcus Palmer in the middle of the picture, the teammate to Max Scott. He's about to go mental. Walks away. I mean, he can't even look. How has this happened again to us? We even had a good qualifying this time. There going around, we saw the back end of this, number 24 Audi of Marcus Winkelhock. And then he went backwards down. I mean, it's quite a steep downhill there, but how close was he to being... Oh, so close to being hit there by... It's one of the Audis that flashed past, one of the Schubert Audi thing. And several other cars came close to it. Then we had, going through the gravel trap, the Max Heckländer Audi getting stuck. And it might be that some of these cars going off the road later in the lap had picked up some damage from the incidents that were going on through turns 1 and 2. And that's why they subsequently got off the road. He was able to get it out of the gravel and carry on, but that was a wild ride as well. Safety car initially was brought out, and then it was red flagged, understandably so. Absolutely the right decision to make that from the race officials. Right, Winkelhock's back in the car. It is at an odd angle because he's got a puncture, and it's the right rear. It's a bit like Max Scott. He's going to have a bumpy ride now, but that tyre flapping on the bodywork, you've got to be so careful it doesn't cause even more damage. There's no real rush to get back because it's going to be a while before we get the race started. Start under investigation. Guial, Perez, Campak are the 2 drivers of that one. And here's a replay. See that bodywork from sort of the back of the grid flying up. Now watch the Audi down the inside. So Max Boek had already got past Max Scott's under braking. Max was then sandwiched in between his teammate and the Audi of Kelvin van der Linde storming up the inside. As we saw this, the other incident just up the road was unfolding with Max Scott's tyre delaminating. So off and around went Luca Ludwig in the Porsche into the Dries van Toor black and yellow Audi. That sent everybody else off the road in avoidance. We saw from Rahel Frey that she had to almost stop the car to avoid getting into that crash. So Boek down the inside. And then van der Linde followed him through. I suppose the fact that Boek went down the inside, that could have clipped him on the way through, but definitely looked like from the onboard, the rear-facing onboard from Max Scott's car, the bigger hit came from van der Linde as he came through. Then this was Marcus Winkelhock with his tyre having delaminated. The car just flipped around on him. Nice car control to go backwards up the road. and then you just, I mean, at least he had the view of what was coming, but that was a very, very narrow miss, and great reactions there to avoid it, to avoid a head-on collision, nose-to-nose collision, which would have been absolutely horrific. So thankfully these racing drivers have incredible reflexes and reactions, but that would have been a real heart-in-mouth moment for Markus Winkelhock as he stared and saw that Audi charging towards him at, well, 150 kilometers an hour or so. And after a brief discussion and regaling of the tails to the marshals, Markus got back in the car, limped it back to the pits, and with almost the same problem as Max Gott's here, the cars have now been worked on at the back of the grid. They're still there. I can't see them stretch my neck out the commentary box window because you have this turn 12, the last turn. It's a really steep uphill climb onto the start-finish straight. So they come right over the brow, and the two, I'm just about to see Max Gotz's car because it's sort of halfway up that hill. It's parked on a hill, if you like, so I can just see the front of the car. So they are not been put back into their grid positions yet, that's for sure. And the race officials will make a judgment on whether they'll be allowed to or not, as they were